And we're live. It says we're live, and I believe we are live. Hello, everybody. I know that this is kind of a surprise. It's a surprise to us too, but actually, we kind of planned this yesterday, but we just didn't tell y'all about it. And so Nina is doing a reading, and I'm not sure about Jenny, not sure about Linda, everybody else. So there is three of us. So welcome on a Saturday. Right. Gaia, thank you for coming in, and Jules, 4 a.m. dedication. Wow, that's passion. That's truly passion. And so, speaking favor over us all, as I continue, we're going to continue with the egregores, which Jules, as you pointed out, comes from the word Gregory Gore, which means to watch, and so we have actually created something here, and it's interesting. And we're going to talk about this next week, but maybe we'll talk about it today as well. It's very interesting. There is a life force that this group collectively has created. And the thing about it is, if you tap into it, it will bring you some groovy vibes. But anyway, that's just my take. So favor everyone, it's Saturday, and nothing missing, nothing broken. BOSTO be of service, and thank you, moderators, and thank you, everyone else that's in the room. There's a lot of people watching. What say you, ladies? Don't let me do all the talking.
Wow.
Yeah.
Trying to see the chat. Yeah.
Yeah. Audience is growing, and people are chatting, and I think this is great. Didn't realize people had this kind of time on Saturdays. What a waste of energy. I mean,
Well, for me, it's just a day. It's just a day.
Yes.
Yeah, well, Monday here.
And that's so weird because, so it's Sunday for you, Gaia. It's still Saturday morning for you.
But a different time than you.
Now I'm in the past time. I'm in the afternoon, implying that is noon prior to noon, because we say afternoon. We don't say pre-noon, do you? It's like mid-morning, late morning, Then all of a sudden it's noon, and then it's afternoon. Wow.
Well, actually, the O-N in the word, that's egg in Hebrew. Un, the O-O-N in Hebrew is egg.
Egg. Okay.
Yeah, so we have that in the moon as well. And
now that's interesting, because if you follow next week, is the worship of the pagan goddess Esther. The Straits call it Easter, but but isn't it interesting, because the story goes that the Christ was crucified at 9 a.m. and that his spirit departed at noon. That's interesting, which the Hebrew term would have been egg. That's very interesting.
Well, the O-O-N part on the end of the word, because, as I pull words apart, I'm always looking at the separation of all the words to see what's in it. Like the Gregory or Gregor, you look
Egregore,
up, that Gregory. Actually, like I said, watchful or mindful. Sober mind.
Yeah. Linda's in. Well, come on in. We're having tea. Yeah.
Hello,
I'm
Linda.
having tea. I mean, at least one of us is proper here. I mean, I don't know, Gaia. Hello, Linda. How you doing? tea. So welcome to our tea party, Linda. We're just having a kind of a groovy time
Linda.
here.
Hey, Linda.
Hi.
Hi.
I forgot what time it was. I was doing stuff and trying to do my garden stuff, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's almost 2:00!" And then I saw them.
That's right. It's 2:00.
Like, yeah, it's
so
2:00 for me.
Yeah, it's 2 afternoons.
Yes.
So anyway, that we were just talking about the word noon. So there you go. And of course, then at noon, as the story goes, two things happened as well. That is when the curtain in the temple was rent from the top to the bottom, and the curtain, by the way, was 12 inches thick. It was impossible for a man to ever tear it. And then the other thing is that people reported in Jerusalem that graves were burst open and that the people's spirit were carrying their bodies around. That's some wild stuff, man. I want to tell you what, is that a party? It's like, whoa, what the hell were they drinking? But anyway.
I've got nothing to say.
Maybe they were doing psychedelics.
Well, you know, I've got this book called Christ and the Mushroom. And come to find out that, you know, mushrooms have been a sacred shaman ingredient for millennia.
Yes.
You know, and all continents, you know.
It's funny. I just sent, I just had something about mushrooms popped up in my news feed, and it's like on USA Today that they're going to start, they've done so much studies on mushrooms, and now they're saying that it can cure addiction to opioids, and it also cures psychological mental issues, and that people that do mushrooms have a less prevalency to be criminals and have criminal activity. And so I opened that up, and then all these other articles popped up, and all of them saying the same thing, that they're starting to decriminalize mushrooms, and even DMT has the same effect. Like, so we might see that soon. That might be like the new.
We're going to have it on the ballot here in November in Colorado. So, and since we already have legalized cannabis, it's, you know, going to be easily integrated. And you're right. You know, everyone knows my history. You know, I ate more than a couple 100 pounds of those things. And
well, the big thing was it said it's non-addictive. It's not like opioids and all that, that all the studies they've done show that psychedelics are non-addictive, and they very much help with PTSD and depression and anxiety. And
you can talk to cows.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm serious. They talk to us, and I've got witnesses, you know.
Yeah.
You know. And the thing about it is that they got into a circle. We were in the inner circle. I mean, and we weren't tripping. Well, we were stoned, but we weren't, you know, you understand. We all laughed about it. Yeah. Okay. All right, you two straights over there. Y'all are looking at guy is going like, I wouldn't dare. And Jules is going,
no, are you kidding?
Not me.
I do it low dose. Are you kidding?
I know it. No, it's really true.
Yeah.
In Silicon Valley, the thing has been for the last 20 years is microdosing, and it's been proven. You know, you can write a lot of good code, you know, and you get some really groovy ideas. That's just my take.
Yeah, I've heard stories. I've not done DMT. I did try mushrooms twice, and I didn't have much of an experience. I saw some little woodland creatures. The second time I had a channeling that lasted for 5 hours, but it wasn't like I still felt like I was doing the same channeling like I usually do, except for I saw a lot more vivid colors and things like that. But I didn't feel like I was under any effects of any kind, like of a medicine. Things were clearer, you know. And I didn't know I did it for 5 hours. Like my fiance recorded the whole thing, and I saw myself.
You were channeling, is that right?
Yeah, I went through.
Who were you channeling?
I went through the galaxy and channeled my my family on another planet called Zendaya, and talked to my sister, saw her 2 kids, saw my cousin, saw their little houses, like not little houses, but they lived in like these crystal huts that were really beautiful. Saw the animals there. Colors were different, like colors I'd never seen before. Saw the flowers, the trees, the sky was different colors. And then I met this being, came down and told me his name was Dorel. And he flew down with these big, mighty wings. And his wings, they looked like made out of metal feathers. But the colors were like a rainbow colors that were like that rainbow paint you see that when light shines on it, they all change like purples, blues, and reds. And I asked him a lot of questions. Like I asked him about all kinds of stuff. But he told me his name was Dorel, and he was the deity for that planet. Like, he said they call me God, but I'm really just like the deity, the protector of this planet. You know, I'm not God's just a title. He told me I'm not like a God that is over these people or this planet. Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
What a fantastic experience. I mean, seriously, I don't doubt that. I mean, if consciousness exists, it would be arrogant to say that it merely exists within this plane on this planet.
Right.
I mean, that would be hell. I mean, it really would be. I mean, this whole thought that we're somehow the only thing, that's frightening. And to think that there was at one time, I actually bought into that. It's like, well, we're the crown of creation. Well, what a freaking ego too. Yeah. That's the guy that, that lived 1,000 years ago. And before he died, he said, I was one of the greatest historians. And 100 years passed, people didn't know anything about him, but he was a great historian. And come to find out, he wasn't anything. But yeah.
Yeah. My son was just on the phone with me and told me that he's reading a book by Marcus Aurelius. I didn't even know Marcus Aurelius wrote a book. I know that I knew about his history with the followers of Jesus, but and I knew he was like the last of the great Roman emperors, the fifth one, the one that held peace and stability. And after he left, like that's when the whole thing went to pot, But my son was like, Mom, you really got to read this book. Like, if these things were told to people today, his philosophies, like this is just blowing my mind about the things he's saying. So did you know Marcus Aurelius had written books, Wayne? Like, see, I didn't know. I didn't know that.
But it could have never been about a Jesus. It may have been Jesus, but it would have never been a Jesus.
No, the books weren't about Jesus. I just remember like there was a Marcus, I thought it was Marcus Aurelius that was one of like the Roman generals that helped some of the followers of Jesus escape when they were going to be persecuted. But it might not have been Marcus Aurelius. I might be getting it confused.
No, I think you're right. It's just it's just that history has been so manipulated in that aspect that and it's I call it now the spiritual cabal, because they inverted an event that never happened, and then they project it as though it's fact. As I said before, if Jesus actually lived, then that would have meant that he was the Son of God, which would have made him the smartest human being ever to be on the planet. But yet the smartest human being on the planet never wrote one word.
Anything, yeah.
But yet everybody's writing about what he said. And I have no validation or proof that that's what he said at all, because it came from a guy who was just like your experience, Linda, was channeling.
Right. Yeah.
It had to have been channeled. No one can write in the first and third person tense, particularly 90 years after a conversation.
Yes.
I mean, I've got loves of my life that I can still, but I can tell you what we had for dinner that night and what the conversation was, and more importantly, do it verbatim. Yes. And she said, well, how are you doing? And anyway, I digress. Sacrilegious, it's like, I know, because, next week is that big day. So it's when
going back to mushrooms, I just like the fact that they call them fun guys.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah. I
And,
mean,
and it's the mycelium that's the most important thing, the mycelium that's underneath, because it's my cells. That's where we're from.
Julie, I got in trouble as a kid because my grandmother was taking me to one of our family members' funerals, and I kept saying, "Oh, we're going to a funeral. Like, are we going to like have a party?" And oh my gosh, I'm Christian. She's Baptist. She's like, "Young lady, you don't have fun at funerals." And I'm like, "No, it's spelled funeral. FUN, mama, fun." And she was like, "No, my God, yeah." I got in trouble for that one.
But it is, isn't it, Jules? I mean, you tear words, you tear them apart. And yes, Marcus Aurelius was a genius. He was the founder of Stoicism. Yeah. If they would just teach that kind of history, it'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, I love history. But yeah, it's true. Oh, come on, ladies. No dead air.
Mushrooms here where I'm at is just commonplace. I'm in Oregon. And so
that's right. You have your state legalized mushrooms, what, a couple of years ago?
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And, there's groups going out this morning hunting for morels and the psilocybin. It's just commonplace here.
Yeah.
I mean,
In fact, the University of Oregon is doing remarkable studies in
Bingo.
this area of PSTs and what the effect is. And, and the problem is, and mark my words on this, I think what they're really waiting for is for the pharmaceuticals to be able to come in and synthesize the process.
Same with cannabis, they did it. Yep.
Yeah. And then, but that takes all the way, there's a spiritual aspect to this. There's a reason why.
Yes, exactly, Wayne.
Yeah.
When a little bit of the story with Paul when he felt ill and the reason why, and it was a target. So I'll just put that out there. But you know what really helped him move through that damage was low dose psilocybin. It was almost like night and day. Well, it worked on his nervous system. So it's a fact. So yeah, and you're right. When it became legal, cannabis became legal in California. I was involved in that, not making it become legal, but I held a large international cannabis summit, educational.
Yes, you did. A lot of people don't know that about you, Gaia.
Yeah, I know, and it was amazing. But one of the main people in the state of California, the head person, said to me one day in a private meeting to get it all going, because the problem she was worried about was the medicinal side of it would be going away, possibly. So it's kind of like what you just said about the mushrooms, the spiritual side. So in other words, I always say, know your farmer, know your grower, become the farmer, become the grower, know your stuff.
Yeah.
Yogo said, did Indians use magic mushrooms to have visions? Actually, depending on what the tribe is, but many of the Southwestern Indians were actually was the peyote cactus.
Yep.
And I was taught how to harvest peyote, and you have to know how to do it, because if you screw up, it's loaded with strychnine. And where we actually get mescaline from, the mescaline comes actually from the center part of the button of the cactus. But
it's also very sacred.
It's very sacred.
They consider the peyote to be his own deity or god, and you have to ask him and get permission with him to be able to commune with him and interact with him. And if he doesn't want to do that, then you're not going to have the experience.
The vision quest that I went on when I was 19, it's pretty powerful. Big believer, but that's because I experienced it, and I know it has the effects. Jules, in your part of the world, this is nothing new. The different plants having the medicinal, and I think the magical aspect of it. I think that this is the problem with pharmaceuticals, is they take the magic out of it. They take that which nature made, and then they synthesize it to what man made, and it's never the same.
Yeah, well, I can't speak on any particular drug because I've not tried anything. I'm just high on life because I've got it all around me. I've got so many different herbs, and the vibration that they just give off, the flower, the note, everything's in tune, it's all carries a note. And so I've just, because I hardly ever have shoes on. If you looked at my feet, they're cracks. Because I walk around barefoot all the time.
You see, folks, we not only talk the talk, we walk the talk.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's, like,
all I got to say.
A lot of, if I've had reflexology or anybody, and they go, oh, look at those feet. I go, well, they don't see shoes much.
Yeah.
And, and the thing is, because I've not used any deodorants or shampoo or any product on me, with all the flowers that I've got in my yard that give off a scent or a note or a tune, you pick up that vibration. So you've not got any artificial stuff that's interfering, because you're actually getting what's out there naturally. So, I don't have to take any drugs, because I'm just high with the nature.
I think
You know,
most of
just-
us have gone back when in our youth. Currently, I mean, yeah,
Oh,
that time.
Well, I didn't do it in my youth. Like I've said before, I was a goody two shoes, and
And that's the great thing. It's your environment is in many cases the epitome of what many people would see as a Shangri-La. It's a place where nature and the humans have the ability to walk in harmony. Unfortunately, the vast majority of people live in dense urban centers where it's just and it's true. I guess if we all could live in the country here in the United States, they're making it more difficult for people to move into the country. They want to actually consolidate people more and more into the cities. And the cities will kill you. They're just soul suckers. That's all they do. They zap the energy of the soul.
Well, because I attempt most of the time not to go and say what I know is going on, in a sense, because I keep the vibration in how I see that the world's going to be, because that's where what most of my work is focusing on the beauty that Earth's going to be, the restoration of planet Earth, because that's totally my journey, is because of all my writing. So I believe that totally in my heart, that the Earth is going to be restored, and we are able to change that in our person, because I know what we're capable of doing. I know this human is changing constantly all the time. We're becoming a new form of human, whatever we're going to be called. We're going to be able to create with the matter. Like one of my poems is practice imagining a pretty view, and, you know, practice makes perfect. So we practice what we speak. If we imagine beauty everywhere, we're no longer controlled or weak. And I know that, like I said, I've said it before on your show, that we'll be able to create with matter what we want in our hand, as in fruit or anything. I know that I've been saying it for so long, and people just look at you crazy. How can we do that? But I know we can, because I've obviously done it. You know,
Jules, I say that to Paul all the time, right here in the hand. We say it right here.
Right here.
It's happening.
You know, I start to tingle. My hand gets heavy.
Yep.
Yes, I do. No.
When we had Wayne's show yesterday and I was out dancing in the rain, I had such an energy joy from being with all of you, listening to Wayne talk. I wanted to go out and dance in the rain. I literally felt it in my hands, and I really put my hands together. I was like waiting, expecting, and I could see the little color. Like I saw colors, and I was like, oh my gosh, maybe if I sit here long enough, I can form this in my hands. Like, you know. But I do that.
Yes.
I feel it with my hands.
And of course, people can say, no, you can't do that. Well, you're the one inhibiting that. You're not going to say you can't, because then you're telling your cells that you can't do it.
I agree. I have a fork here that is starting to get really bent. I practice, you know, and I continue. Now that I know I can do it, I am getting back into that natural vibe, because it happens so naturally that, you know, you don't have time to prepare for it. But yeah, it does work.
With everything. You're working with the whole, because the plasma's inside of us and it's outside of us. That's what's changing, or it's always been here. We're the ones actually catching up. But it's the plasma field that you're working with all the time. So you set the intention, and those vibrational things that you're working with, those party cells, as I call them, instead of particles, I call them party cells, because they're working with you to have a good time.
You see, Jules, I learned in a different approach, because coming out of the indoctrination that I come out of Christianity, particularly with the charismatic Pentecostal side, is that, and I still remember it, it's in my heart. You can't erase it, is Hebrews 11:1. And it says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It's exactly what you said. I know through what I went through, I can create anything. Yesterday, when I was exchanging out the hot water heater, what an adventure. But I was reminded, because this is what I hear myself saying: every word that I have put forth will not return unto me void, but it will prosper in the thing for which I sent it forth and accomplish and not come back empty. That is creating something out of the substance that doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's it.
And I know I resonate with you on that. I mean, that is a truth for me. It's not hard.
No,
I've had 40 years of that. You know, so
well, I don't have any of that background. I mean, I did go to.
No, but you arrived. Isn't it interesting? We arrived at the same circle from, you know, different perspectives and spectrums.
That's right. The angles.
Yeah.
It's all about angles and how you keep changing. And that's why I say some things at the time when I get a message or I hear something, and then it's expansion. That's all we're doing, is expanding and allowing all kinds of things, because how else do you not, if you don't imagine, because I mean, I suppose that's a lot of mine is, of course, imagination, but the brain knows no different between real or imagination. You know,
it doesn't.
And that's like I've said, with when you're working with people on their body or doing cellular memory stuff and hands-on, I said, you got to talk to those cells, all of your body, you know, and it's amazing watching the transformation when you're giving someone permission to actually create.
And that's for that important. Boy, it's a point, because giving permission is the key. If there's no permission.
No, there is no. That's it. But it's like last night we went to a party. Our neighbour across the road she's 80, and she's just such a lively thing. Anyway,
I love it. Does she still have the glow of life in her?
Oh, she is. So you wouldn't even think she was 80, you know, but I heard her story from her husband, because I didn't know all of it, because we've been here 20 something odd years, but not knowing everybody's background. And I was sitting with the lady that used to come into my shop, and I just started stretching her mind, saying things like, but why can't you do that? You know, who's saying those sort of things to stop you from, you know, because she's seen me dressed up over the years, and she'll go, oh, who the fuck are you now?
There's a spirit being full of life.
Well, we're doing it. Colleen and I are going down the street Wednesday night. It's our Easter on Mary, they call it, Mary Street, because I'm at Mary's Creek. But it's the businesses, and because, you know, there's still some that haven't opened yet after the flood. Anyway, we're dressing up as witches. It's Easter, but we're dressing up as witches.
Of course.
I love that.
I'm glad I'm not the only heretic here.
No.
Well, I believe, because they carried their brooms or rode their broomsticks, all they represent is the element of air. If you're on, that's really what they're representing, is the element of air when they're on their broom. You know.
By the way, have you seen the videos lately that are showing up all over the world of what could only be described as what you would see as a witch on a broom?
No.
Yeah. There's now been nearly, I think, 8 different captures of whatever it is, but it looks like the proverbial witch, you know, with the hat and riding, you know, side saddle on the broom.
Well, there you go.
I mean, is there an etiquette in riding a broom? I mean, side saddle as to, you know, riding, you know, split, like, I don't know. I'm just asking. You know. Don't listen to me. Just move on. But side saddle, why would they do that? In case they fall off? I don't know.
I've got mine hanging in this, where I've got all my herbs. I'll show you. See, here it is here.
Well, yes, indeed.
Can you see it?
Yes, I do. So what is the proper etiquette to that?
Oh, I just get on it. Because I've got lights on it. You see, I've got lights on it, and it's just a palm frond or a palm seed pod that falls from the palm.
It looks great. It's got great visuals.
And because the other day Colleen and I did a little of my little video uploaded, I hung it up in the macrame so that it was above as if we were on it.
Nice.
Anyway.
I love this.
I agree with
About
you.
having fun and joy, everybody.
Yeah.
Enlighten means in, light in. Become light as a feather and don't be so heavy and dense.
Yes.
So I really
I
want to
agree
know,
with
I mean,
you.
the etiquette on this, there has to be an etiquette. I mean, I do believe people can master that. I mean, so I don't know, side saddle, to, I don't know. I like control.
I don't like riding a side saddle.
Me neither.
Like I rode a
Neither.
horse side saddle and I feel like I'm gonna fall off. I'm not gonna ride.
That's what
Right.
I would think. He'd be like
I wanna do it
ejecting
all
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my youth, I dated a gal. She was a championship barrel rider. And
Nice.
her name was Robin, blonde hair, Texas. But anyway, yeah, there was no side saddle to that at all.
Nope.
No,
That's all I know.
just get on and ride.
Indeed.
It's
You
just a
ride,
little
Jules?
program things. I think
What's
they
that, Steiger?
Do
What's
you
that?
ride? Do you ride? Do you ride?
Who, me?
Horses.
No, I
Oh,
don't ride
Jules.
a horse. No.
Jules.
Yeah, I don't ride a horse. No.
Oh, okay.
You do, right,
Curious.
Gaia?
Yeah.
Yep. Y'all got horses.
Yep.
And Linda, you're sitting there smiling. Now, do you ride horses? Have you ridden horses?
I've rode donkeys, goats,
Me
pigs,
too. Camels.
camels. I've been on a camel at the fair. They had a camel. That was an experience. That was fun. Sheep, like whatever was on the farm. Yeah. I want to get another donkey. I actually love donkeys. I love horses, but donkeys are like my favorite for some reason. Maybe because I'm a jazz. I don't know.
That's
There
it.
is a
We have
difference
donkey
between a
here.
jackass and a donkey, though.
I know.
The jackass is, I think a jackass is a mule, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
I was
Yeah,
making a joke,
yeah.
but I do
I
love
think-
donkeys. Yeah.
I do. I love little donkeys. They are cute. Goats, baby goats are as cute as they can be,
Love them.
And Lynn loves these, those Vietnamese potbelly pigs, those little ones. And they're smart. They're like one of the smartest animals around.
Mhm.
They make dogs and cats look like they're, regressed students in the, the remedial class.
Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, when you can see a donkey laugh, did y'all see that video with the one where the dog was peeing
Yes.
on the electric
yes.
fence? That
Yes.
that donkey laughed its ass off and then walked away and thought about it and started laughing again. It's like, dumbass dog. Does he know? It's like, don't tell me they don't have spirits. Lynn keeps on seeing her dog that passed, and Dolly's
cool.
passed about 5 years ago. And because we believe that, if your pets really love you and there's a bond, I have a deep bond with Dancer, that when they pass, they just need your voice so that they know that they're where they are, because it's disorientating for them as well.
Right.
And Dolly is still here.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
That's really sweet.
So,
We
all
got
right, ladies.
goldfish and chickens. That's
What's
all
that?
I've got is goldfish and chickens.
So, Linda, so you grew up on a farm, because I've never ridden a pig. I have to say, I've not had that,
Yeah, my grandmother, she would get upset because I had my favorites of all the animals, and of course they were raising the animals to feed the family. So a lot of times I was told I couldn't play with the animals because I would get attached, and then I'd be like the tree hugger out there chained to the tree. I'd be on the animal, riding it or sitting on it, or
Yeah.
no, you can't do it. Yeah, so
we raised rabbits and chickens and guinea hens and cows as well. And yeah, I always found an excuse because I couldn't handle the butchering of it, particularly with rabbits, because they scream,
Oh,
you know,
Yes.
oh,
and you know, it was very difficult. And then, you know, my dad was different in the head, and he thought it was rather funny. So did the other brothers and sisters, when they would chop off the head of a chicken and the chicken would run through the yard with its head cut off. You know, they found that very entertaining. I found it horrifying, but anyway, I mean, I had nightmares of seeing chickens with their heads cut off, you know, and blood going this way, you know. Yeah,
Mhm.
very difficult to bite into a chicken wing now, isn't it?
Yeah, my grandma was a fierce woman. She would just go out there and snatch it up out of the yard and like that, and you know.
There's a
and
lot of
I'm
beliefs
like,
that say that the animal kingdom is supposed to be in servitude to man, that it is here to sustain man.
yeah, I don't think. I just had this conversation a couple of days ago. I've gotten to the
See,
point
deja vu.
where I don't even. It was like actually yesterday. I've gotten to the point where I don't even want to eat food anymore because I started with animals last year in January. I got an aversion. I could feel it's like I know they have a spirit and an energy that's just like mine. So I felt like it was almost like cannibalism to me. And then just recently I had started fasting again, and it's like I don't want to eat a plant unless I'm absolutely like my belly is growling. Like it's gotten to where I don't even want to eat the plants anymore because I know they have. And I've heard about like what are they, breatharians or whatever that.
Did you ever see the movie Sausage Party?
Yes.
I mean, I'm seeing the head of lettuce going, oh no.
Thought about the giants. They were so big that did they just get energy from the ether and the plasma? Because you know how much
That's where we're heading.
Have to eat. How much
I
food
agree.
do
Yes,
aliens have
Jules.
to eat?
Yeah.
Like the food
That's
we
where-
eat, how much
that's-
do they have to eat? You know what I'm saying, Jules? Yeah. So
That's where we're heading.
Yeah.
We don't have to eat. We can create it in our hands.
Mhm.
If you
And
want
Linda,
it,
to
but
answer
you're
your
not
question, the world back then was in a different region of space. The atmosphere was different. I mean, it's just like the Devil's Mound over here in South Dakota, I think it is, you know, it's evidence of a very large trees. I mean, these trees grew miles up in there. So there's also, you know, a theory that says that the earth was much larger and as a result sustained much more greater vegetation. But because if you read the book of Enoch, Enoch says that the Nephilim were nearly a mile high, 4,500 feet tall.
Well, I think the higher our consciousness gets, we're not going to need human needs anymore to eat regular food. I think we could actually be able to create our own, like Jules said, in our hands, and it would be a complete energy form.
I don't think it'll be in this realm. This is the death realm. You're talking a fundamental change of the plane of existence here. I believe the transition will take place. I just don't believe it's going to be here. That this realm of the living dead, it teaches us lessons that we can't learn on other planes. That's why we're here. That's why many of us come back.
So do you think I'm having a memory? Like, is it a memory?
I think you are. I had my palm read today, and I didn't realize that in the palm, wow, I was pretty much blown away. I have the Mystic X in my right hand. There is evidence that I was a spiritual teacher in past lives. I'm definitely what they call a master enchanter. There is the secret X in my palm as well. So yeah, I got kind of blown away. So to answer your question, yes.
The X is the
Yes.
face of Osiris too.
Pardon?
In the Igbo, on Panchea, X, Osiris, they believe went to that area, and X was the mark for Osiris.
Yeah, this realm is weird. I mean, I do believe we will, because we are the masters. And I think if you become a master to where, Jules, where you're seeing matter, I mean, what's the difference of taking a coin? It's the same molecules, right?
Right.
They're just the vibration is station. Exactly. I know that my mind focused in on a fork can begin to generate a heat within the fork that makes it very malleable. That's freaking awesome.
Well, I've had flat batteries and I've charged them
There you go. I can't wear a watch because
I can't either.
yeah, just it
I don't wear one.
I got free of that
Jules,
curse a long time ago. Thank
Me
you.
too. Do you
Yeah, what,
believe,
Gaia?
do you feel, or any of that one, that that's where the urine is coming into play more now because you're hearing more people with the urine and the plasma, so they don't need to eat as much and they're not eating as much. They're just using their urine or their urine. What do you feel about that?
Well, because when I just look at words, right? So you look at the word urine, it's U-R-N with an E on the end. And most words did not have E's on the end of them hundreds of years ago. It was because when they come out of the Dark Ages and they started writing text, they had to fill the line in, so they put an E on the end of the word. So if you look at the word U-R-N, U-R in Hebrew is light. You are the light in. And what color is it? It's yellow, which is the golden. That's the golden that we are. And so is our plasma, is the golden part.
Yeah.
That's the golden. And I wrote something this week because I was writing what's in urine and what's in plasma, right? So you start off with water. It's water.
Right.
What's the plasma that we're breathing in at the moment that's coming in? The light is plasma. It's water. It's just a different version of what we have been told, right? So you've got water and salts are in both of those. And then you have protein, of course, it's in the blood. And then you have keratin, which tells you it's create in.
By the way, they test you for kidney disease on the creatine levels that you actually exhume out of your bodies.
Yeah, so it's how you pronounce it, but I just go, it's spelt like it's create in. And so it's the inside of the body is dark, isn't it? Inside the body, it lights up probably when you're having an amazing experience, or the lights go on, figuratively. And so that's the creation point. And what I believe know from my writing, because it's about the age of knowing and stuff, is I'm just going to go somewhere, and anyway, so if everybody wants to join in or not, doesn't matter. So say reincarnation, I didn't really know about that word. It wasn't taught to me as a child or in our family. And I saw the Hare Krishnas one day dancing around and I thought, oh, that looks exciting. So I read one of that was the first time I ever seen the word reincarnation, right? So it's just that re is again, incarnation, which just again in vehicle, you're born, because nation means born on the end of the word. Anyway, or beget. So I think now, because we're balanced we're level and balanced through our heart, okay, and all the aspects, the fractals from the creation, when we went out, whatever happened, we're actually bringing all those aspects that we've been or we are now and balancing them here on earth. So I don't know whether we've had reincarnation experiences. The fact that we're on several planes or dimensions now, it's all now. So we're bringing all of those, that's what we're remembering, is we're bringing every aspect of those particles into our heart, and we're balancing all that here now on planet Earth. Okay? So I don't think we've been anything, because time, whatever, it's now. Everything's now. Instead of thinking that I was on planet X or planet whatever, I'm there now, and I'm bringing that aspect of all that remembering now into this human form. So that's just something I've put together. It's just anyway.
No, I'm right there with you. In fact, it's interesting you're talking about now, because I had this conversation with my spirit guide that, if the past is that which the future was to be, then in the present would actually be the antithesis of both the past and the present.
Well, present is present because it's already happened.
You see, There you go. So if the present isn't actually a state, then where are we in this fluidity of what we call time?
Well, it's like tomorrow never comes, does it?
I've never found it, although I love the song. Tomorrow, tomorrow. Love the play. It was a great play, Annie. Yeah. Yeah, I'm cultured. Actually, I've had etiquette classes. Yeah. So anyway, moving right on along.
Yeah. So that obviously was a conversation stopper.
No, I was just thinking yesterday, I just had this conversation with my friend, and she's been doing gamma waves at night to go into dream state. And she's been asking a question every night to be able to see different aspects of other timelines that she's lived in. And the first night, she actually saw the same place that she's living now, but different scenarios were going on with her and her husband. They were actually separating and they were fighting, and the kids were crying, and that's not her reality right now. But then the next night, she asked for a time. She wanted to see a time in her that she was more prosperous or stable. And she ended up going to India and saw herself as Jalen, an Indian lady who was like a theologist and was teaching people about different religions and actually the truth about those religions. And she said, I didn't even look the same, Linda, but it was me. I could feel that in my soul, it was me, but she was an Indian lady. And she said she was very angry. Like she said, I don't want to be prosperous and stable if I'm going to be angry. She said she was like, my friend's like part Jamaican. She said, Linda, she's like one of those Black women angry, like, she was out there, she was going to get the truth out and the word out. And she said, I didn't like that vibration I felt from her, but I knew it was true. That was one of the timelines that's being lived out right now somewhere with fractals of myself like that are out there. So it's very, very synchronistic that you would say, Jules, that you believe that there's timelines with all these different people that we're living as, and we're pulling them all back into ourselves right now, like trying to balance.
That's the balancing of the male and female energy,
right?
We're bringing that into us now, and we're balancing it all, and again, it's just loving every aspect of who everybody is, and that's when you'll have peace on earth, is when you'll allow everyone to be who they've come here to be. No judging.
That's we're assuming that we're all the same on the inside and we all desire the same goal. And the antithesis of that is that there's humans in these shells. Well, I don't know if they're humans, but they're in these bodies who have a different vision.
Yes.
And that is one of entrapment. That is one of pain. That is one of servitude. And I'm like with you, Jules, we have to get, we did it in the 60s. We were novices at it, but it was amazing to see what we did. I don't know if that can be replicated, but I dare say that we lived off of that vibe for almost 50 years. I think it actually saved mankind, humanity, from a road that we were going down very quickly. We need that same type of global event. I have been writing to several of the well-known singers and some of their management groups. And anyway, the point is that I had heard back from one yesterday, and they said that, and this is what the guy said. He says, the spirit's not here, man. Literally what he wrote in his email. He says, the spirit's not here, man. And I thought to myself, how fucking profound is that?
Wow. But
if you can see the music industry's part of
but what I'm trying to do, I get the drawbacks, but the point is we need a point of contact.
Yep.
And they have the network. And all I need is someone like a Ringo Starr that can see the same thing. Ringo's very much into the same mindset that we are. And it would take just one. I mean, what we do for his birthday every year now is that we think, peace and love. And it's beginning to catch on. What my point was is that we've got to find where that spirit went, because it's absent and there's a void.
I'm just looking from my community, and Gaia would see that in her community. Now, we had this event that has pulled our community together, right? Now, whether the event, because that's what they're calling it, the rain, the flood, whatever, whether it was genetically modified, which could have well been, or it wasn't, right? Whether it was an act of Mother Nature, whichever way you want to look at it, it happened. So it is what it is. Okay, that's where I go. So it could have well been, and on levels, I'm probably aware that it was weather manipulation. Okay, but I don't focus on that. I focus on the fact that it's now happened, and we're coming together as a community. There's a lot of stuff I could say, but I'm not going to put it to air that I'm aware of, because I'm just aware of stuff that I've got to be aware of what I'm saying. But I stay focused in the beauty that we're restoring the planet. That's my goal here.
I love that. But you see, I want to get that. I guess my vision is that, listen, there are a lot of millionaires and billionaires. There's a couple that listen, and they're active in this group. They're looking for a way that they can help as well. I mean, what I'm saying is that individually or into a community is wonderful, but we got to expand it out. And I don't have the answers. I just know that it's desperately needed. And unfortunately, in this day and age, it does take resources sometimes to get an organized message out. That's all.
Wayne, I'm going to send you something that Paul and I are working on as of, in fact, a meeting last night, even late last night. It will help the planet. And I'll send 2 of them to you. It's a business I've started. It's called Rewilding Solutions. But here's the thing, I agree with you 1,000,000%. It needs funding, but because that's just what is here in this 3D realm, you know? Yeah. And then it's amazing. I'll send it to you. You're speaking exactly what the 4 or 5 hour meeting was last night.
Brand, I'm speaking to you too, buddy. I know that you have a role to play in this as well.
Yeah. I looked your stuff up, Ballard.
Yeah, I tell you, I'm going to have him on. Jules, you're the message that you are emulating is the message. We need that vibration to be expanded out. We need it broadcast, because you're right. You're at that point where other people are desperately looking for it. I read something about the 20-somethings. They're becoming more nomadic. You want to know why? They're spiritually looking for something. I mean, it was amazing. I talked to a 20-something yesterday. They're desperate for.
They are, Wayne.
Yeah, I mean, this young man was almost in tears.
Yes, we have a few 21-year-olds that are coming.
Yeah,
they're like, whoa, we need help. Please help us. Please.
He said to me, he says, you got a vibe. That's exactly the word he says. You got a vibe. You know, and I said, yeah, I do.
I think that's the 60s vibe flowing through us.
I think it is. He recognized it. He says, what, you know, when I told him what I do, and he came and looked on the channel, and he just said, wow. He said, I need to know what you know.
See?
And I said, well, it's taken me 66 years.
I just had that conversation with my 19-year-old son right before I got on with you guys. He's like, Mom, I don't know what's wrong with our generation, but we need something that we don't have. And I've got 3 girlfriends right now that I've been talking with for the last few years. We're trying to get together to build. One wants to build a place for homeless teens so that they can get some spiritual guidance, but not just that, have a place to live, for an address and a phone number to be able to get a job or go to school or a bank account. And then another wants to do it for single moms that have been in domestic violence situations, like build an actual place they can live, like have duplexes and a childcare. And then my friend Dee Dee, I was just talking about, we've been talking about building a spiritual retreat center and having a section of it for homeless people that can come live and work the garden. But then they could be able to, because a lot of homeless people are disabled and things like that, but they can't get help because they don't have an address or a phone number or a computer or a way to get resources. But also have it where those that are already spiritually enlightened can come for a retreat, and they can do drumming circles or work in the garden or you know, and start setting these centers up all over the place to start
It's
helping.
happening.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't
Because
realize.
everyone's-
Go ahead, Jules. Go ahead, hon.
Well, what we've just had, the event, there is a lot of people homeless, right? And I know from a universal level, because I always like to look at it from every angle, and that's the part of the plan, is we're nomadic people, really. We've been housed in things, and supposedly the corporations, they own our land anyway, supposedly. So we don't own it. Okay. You might be paying your mortgage, you might be paying it, but we don't own it. So if you look at that from a universal perspective as well, is you come to this planet, you don't have to own the land. You just freely roam from place to place with no boundaries. That's the plan on planet Earth, is that we just can roam. If I want to come to see you, you're not going to stop me by having a gate there or a border. So we call them all state borders, but you just travel through because it's just part of the planet. You know,
Yes.
This is where we're heading. And when you look at the thing, instead of what's wrong with the situation, you go, what's right about it that you can't see yet? So everything's unfolding naturally, and it is speeding up at times, and it depends where your level of consciousness, if you can just rise above the problem and see that it's part of the process to change.
Well, I was a street kid, and you know, to me, nomadic life is it's normal. But Jules, every idea though takes administrator. It takes those who can organize it, and that's my
Organize it.
gifting. You know, I am a former CEO. My
That's
gifting
right.
is organizing people and getting
Well,
them
there you go.
empowered.
You're doing
That's
it.
a gift.
Yeah.
That is a gift, Wayne.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm not,
It
that's
is.
not my job. My job
Yeah.
is what I do. I know
Yeah.
what I'm here to do and be, right? I'm being my job, my craft, right? This is my craft.
Right.
You do
Right.
what you do. I can't do what you do. That's why we're all part of the puzzle, and why I always say thank you all for your gifts and talents.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm just waiting for everybody to wake up and see what their gift is.
Smell the damn coffee. Would you wake up?
Because like I say, I don't build a house I can help with, and I'm
Yeah, I was a
helping
big
Ian with
Three
our
Stooges
concrete.
fan. You know, I love the one singer. It says, "Wake up so you can go back to sleep." Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, Linda, for your friend who's doing out there and doing some of the astral travels, you know, one of the key tests in your dreaming is that when you can see your hand, you've made an accomplishment. The vast
Yes.
majority of people cannot see their hands when they dream.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that?
I do. She does. We
Yeah.
both, I've watched myself making things in my dream
Cool.
with my hand. Yeah. And I see colors, but I'm like you, Wayne. I've started many businesses with people. I've got a lot of people that are successful right now because they were my significant other and they have businesses. So
You
that's
do, Linda.
I'm the consolidator and the consultant. I find the resources and I can bring people together and I can find a way to make it happen. I can find you the money, the
That's
land, the people, the whatever you need, you know, and
Networking.
just getting the people, getting the people on board. Like I've written business plans and grants, and like I know how to work the system. I know how to make things happen, you know, but it's just, I think we've all been spread out and we're just now starting to come together across the world. Like Wayne's got this great show where we've got people everywhere and we can all like resource and bounce ideas off of one another. And like Jules can give us information on how to make this happen because it's working for her community. And then Gaia can tell us, you know, so I think that's what we're doing, Jules. Like you said, it's all process and
I do
it's
too.
starting to happen, you know?
It is. It's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it
It
is.
is.
Staying
People are
in a
looking for an
vibration.
alternative. I mean, war, starvation. I mean, I have unsubscribed to a number of channels because there's just the fear vibe. I mean, it's like, I'm not in the ostrich syndrome. I'm very acutely aware of what's happening, but it doesn't need me to be rebroadcasting it. It just, you know, that we've got to find something that counters that. And it's like the guy said, you know, all right, so he's he's out in the world. I know the dude, and the dude knows a lot of people in the industry. And it's like, if that is what he is saying, then that's kind of telling me that it's systemic in a lot of people's lives. How freaking frightening is that?
Well, that's why you're doing what you do, and we are turning that around, is because that's a culture that was part of the program to bring you into that thing, but we're not in that world anymore. We're not in that.
No, we have to find that you know, and every generation has its voice. This generation coming up, to me, seems like they're looking for that voice. And I believe that this is what us elders now have the gifting to give to them, maybe, and say, this might be a voice that you're looking for. Maybe you can take what we had and didn't appreciate. Maybe you can find that and resurrect it and bring it forward. I mean, I think that is the plan. There's a difference about this younger generation. I can sense it.
Agreed.
There's a great potential in this young man I was talking to yesterday. I could sense it. I didn't tell him that, but it's tangible. His girlfriend, their friends, they're all looking for this. And it tells me, this group here, if we're looking for a group project, this may be the one that we could do in the astral. And if we can perfect it into the astral or the etheric, it will manifest here.
Agreed.
You can't help but not to. That's my testimony, and I'm sticking to it.
I love it, Wayne.
We're being it. That's why we're here.
Who the hell is on first?
We're living it because we're being it.
Well, we are. Yeah. And I think we can do that. And I know that, you know, so many people, there is such a negative view on the younger generation. But listen, I was beat up by some people back in 1970 because of my long hair. I was just walking along the road. I understand about that, but that isn't going to be a hindrance. I overcame it. Many of my generation overcame it. It can be overcome as well today. So where the hell did that come from?
Yeah, I just
love it, Wayne.
Because he's very disappointed in a lot of his friends. He said, Mom, they just don't have any direction. They just want everything given to them. They expect to get, you know, a $500,000 home, but they're making $5 an hour. They think things are. He said, you know, but he has some friends that aren't like that. But for the majority of his friends, he said, I don't know what happened. Did their parents like program them this way? Or, you know, and he's really into robotics and AI and quantum technology. He was in college, but now he said, I don't want to do it anymore. I want to be out. He's a landscaper and stuff now. He wants to be out working in nature. And he says, that's where we need to be. We need to get back with the earth. And I've taught him, but not like that. Like, he's on another level right now that I've never seen in him before. And
the problem is, like in my generation, Gaia, you remember we had communes, and I hitchhiked through New Mexico, outside Teos, was a commune that I stayed at for a couple of months. Problem is, now the zoning laws in many of these states prohibit the gathering of groups of people on what they call undeveloped land. I mean,
that's right.
What the heck? I mean, now you can't even come together, you know?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
We're doing it anyway, Wayne.
That's right.
Doing it anyway.
We're having another beach party because the flood cleaned out our creek. So we've organised another street party Easter Monday for the neighbours to just come down and just sit on the pebble beach, because it's, you know, where it's a creek, it's not sand, it's all rocks. But it's just bringing the neighbours together, because you don't see each other only once a year, because one neighbour puts the Christmas party together and we all congregate there. And Jill's is usually the target because she can take all the witchy jokes.
Of course.
So we're doing here the same thing, gathering young people and the farmers and the cannabis growers who lost their businesses due to the glut of the cannabis industry. And we're creating this really beautiful on this cannabis farm. The soil is such a gift. Everything is. And Paul and I don't need to do the garden. We have all we need here. But this is for the community. It's amazing the people that are showing up. They're leaving.
Yeah.
It's amazing, Jules. And I'll send pictures. This garden is amazing. And people are just coming and helping. And how can I help? And there's 3 young men. And Linda, they said the exact same thing your son said to Paul and I. See, Paul's like you, Wayne, in your sense of, coordinating people, like you do, like, what you just said, you can get people, you can structure things, right? Because you have your business. That's how Paul is. And it really does smooth things out and people feel more secure because they have a plan, so to speak, So it's happening and we're seeing more and more people finding out. We don't know how they are, but it's great. You're right, Jules. We're doing it.
Yep, we're doing it.
This is what I think the soul tribe can do. And I mean, I love the term soul tribe. I mean, I told this young man about it and he said, I really like that soul tribe. Yeah. I said, well, we're a growing community. I said, we're growing all the time.
I just want to say something for your boys club one Wednesday night.
Yes, the boys are coming. Yeah, on Wednesday.
Who's going to be I said to Al he had to be the token girl because you're on with us. We need a token woman on the show.
Now, if he comes up in drag, I'm going to tell you what.
Because I said to Grandpa Brian, I said, you'll have to wear a wig. He says, I'm not wearing a wig.
He said he'd wear a dress, though. He'd wear a dress,
He'd wear a dress, yeah. I think you all have to have some representation of the feminine aspect when you come on.
Yeah.
Well, of course, then I immediately was saying, well, I mean, what if they wore women's underwear? Does that count? I mean,
that's right. They could do that. Yeah, a bit of lace.
That's way too much. That's more information than what I really need, right? That's what
I just thought
the MIF,
just for a laugh, if one of them comes on dressed as the feminine,
I love this group. I mean, folks, if you can't laugh, then check your pulse. I don't know. Well, we've really gone over. This was fun for a Saturday. I, don't normally do this, but
thank you, Wayne.
What a quaint look at it. Well, thank y'all.
And Jules and everybody.
4 o'clock now, 5 o'clock in the morning.
There's this bloody star that's outside. It's a huge one.
Have y'all seen the planetary alignment, by the way?
Oh.
Did y'all see it?
Wow. No, I haven't gone.
Oh, y'all didn't know? I mean, the planets were aligned. Actually, Tuesday was the premiere of it. And if you get a chance, look at the moon. Something really weird is going on because our moon, well, it appears to be a lot further away than it was a month ago. And I mean a lot further away.
It's going.
And here is something you should be having until the next full moon. Carry a green rock crystal in your pocket or your purse. And
I've got green on.
See, it will lift the curse and you will begin to see channels opening up that makes the money become much more freer. Little spell, an incantation passing on to the audience. And the green stone is a point of contact. That's the idea.
Walk on the grass. But we're the quantum system. We are the energy. We're it.
Right.
Yeah. I have a crystal that so I'm activating that puppy. All right, ladies. Been an honor. Thank you, every one of you. Just love y'all. And then next Friday, if y'all still want to get together, we'll get Nina on and Jenny and whoever. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. True.
Have a laugh.
Yeah. I love this group. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, Lisa.
Big hugs. All right. We'll see you.